Good morning, everyone. I hope you all can hear me and see the presentation. Please confirm by commenting on the chat panel. As soon as we receive a few confirmation, we can proceed with the training. Okay, we've received a few confirmations. I hope we can start the training. My name is Renuka Govindarajan, and I will be your trainer for today's session. I've been with Managerial for 2 years, and I am a product expert in Network Configuration Manager. So let me tell you the agenda for today's session. In today's session, we'll be talking about Configlets and its uses, how to stay compliant with industry and internal standards. We'll also be talking about role-based access control. Then we'll see how to schedule different configuration tasks. We'll be talking about configuration search, reports, and lastly, we'll be talking about integrations. Currently, we are using NCM bill number 12.4.098. If you are not on the same bill, kindly update to the latest version. So let us move into the first part of the training, which is about configlets. Configlets are executable script templates, and when they are applied to devices, they will execute the commands in a sequence. What are configlets used for? Configlets are used to fix faulty devices in your network. Malfunctioning devices can be fixed from within NCM, and a telnet or a putty is not required. Using configlets, you can also execute changes and other network operations in the devices. In Network Configuration Manager, we have default commands for several operations. You can also add a configlet based on your requirement. You can add configlets using 3 modes. One is script execution mode, advanced script execution mode, and file transfer mode. So I will be explaining every mode in detail along with an example. So the first one is script execution mode. Script execution mode is used when you want to remotely execute commands in different devices. For example, if you want to enable or disable SNMP or download firmware image or change password in multiple devices, you can use the script execution mode. So on the left hand side, you can see the telnet or a putty. The commands which are present in the left hand side will be the same as the ones which you will be entering in the configlet as the configlet command. So let me show this to you in the UI. So I'm logging into the UI. So these are the devices in my network. So to access configlet, you have to click on settings and choose configlets. Here you can see all the configlets present in your network configuration manager. And for script execution mode, I will show you an example. So here's an example for script execution mode where I'm going to change the password for Cisco devices. So here you can give the configlet name, choose the mode, and the description is changing password for Cisco devices. You can give a description of your own wish. So in the configlet content tab, you can give the command. Once you provide all the details, you can give save. This is just an example. So if you want to modify this particular configlet content, you can use this. In order to create your own configlet, all you have to do is click on add. Here you can provide the name, choose an execution mode, description, and the required configlet content, and click on save. In order to execute a configlet, you have to click the execute icon. So here you can give a new password. And also you can choose if you want to give a different value for each device. For that, all you have to do is upload a file which contains all the passwords for different devices. Once you're sure of it, you can associate it to devices. So let us say I want to change password for 3 devices. I can choose those devices. The password will be changed in the selected devices. You can also choose device groups. Device groups are nothing but a group which contains a set of devices. So if you're choosing Cisco router group, all the devices present in the Cisco router group, for all those devices, the password will be changed. Once you click on execute, the configlet will be applied on those devices and the password will be changed for all the selected devices. Moving on to advanced script execution mode. Advanced script execution mode can be used if the commands which are used as the configlet content requires a user prompt such as a yes or a no. Also, you can use the advanced script execution mode when a prompt changes after a command execution, or sometimes command execution takes a lot of time. So you may need to extend the timeout for the particular command. In that case, you can use the advanced script execution mode. Also, if you want to stop the command execution because of an error in the middle of execution, you can use the advanced script execution mode. Also, if you want to change an execution flow based on the device's response, you can use the mode. So here in the example, you can see that the prompt has changed from hash to question mark. So this is why advanced script execution mode is more suitable in such cases. So I'll show you an example for advanced script execution mode. So here's an example for advanced script execution mode where we're going to back up iOS image from the catalyst 2900. So here's the configlet name. The execution mode is the advanced script execution mode. And here you can specify the timeout value and the required configlet command. And to execute it, just click on execute. And here you can provide the source file name, the TFTP server, and destination file name. Once you provide the necessary credentials, all you have to do is associate it to devices. So you can choose the number of devices you wish to have the Catalyst 2900 backed up, and then click on execute. So let us go on to the file transfer mode. File transfer mode can be very useful if you have a configuration file which you wish to push to multiple devices. So in that case, you don't have to log into every device manually and upload a configuration file. Instead, you can use the file transfer mode and push it to many number of devices. So I'm going to show you an example for file transfer mode. So here's an example for file transfer mode where we're going to push this particular configuration file to multiple devices. So the configuration file will be uploaded as a configlet content, and while executing it, you can choose the devices on which you want to push this particular configlet. So once you associate the device, this particular configuration file will be uploaded on the selected devices. So configlets are extremely useful because you can save time and you don't have to put in a lot of manual effort trying to change each and everything in every different device. Let's move on to compliance. So why should you be compliant? Compliance is very important because if you're compliant, you can stay away from vulnerabilities and loopholes. Also, you can avoid legal consequences. So NCM supports the default compliance policy such as Cisco iOS policy, HIPAA, SOX, and PCI. So let me tell you how compliance works. So for that, you have to create custom rules and group these rules into rule groups and group these rule groups into policies. To create a custom rule, you can either clone an existing rule or add a rule from scratch. When you add a rule, you have to specify the criteria such as simple criteria, advanced criteria, and advanced custom criteria. These criteria are based on how the condition is set for each of these roles. Let us see every criteria in detail. Simple criteria. Simple criteria is used when you only have a condition to define whether a particular rule should contain or shouldn't contain a particular string. You can also define if it should be an exact set or if it should not be an exact set. You can also specify the number of times a particular string can be present in a configuration file. So here we have an example where you can decide if you want the string public with the RO community to be present or not. So it'll be better if I show this to you in the UI. So here, these are the default compliant policies present, and these are the other policies. So in order to create a rule, all you have to do is click on the plus symbol and create a rule. So now I'm going to show you an example for the simple criteria. So here's an example for simple criteria, and I'm specifying that this particular compliance rule, when it is applied on certain devices, it should check whether these two lines should be present or not. So I'm giving that these two lines should not be present any number of times. So this compliant rule, when it's applied on a certain device, NCM will check if these two lines are present or not. And in case these two lines are present, then a violation will be shown. Here you can provide the violation severity as critical, major, or warning. It can depend on the severity of that particular rule or how effective or what kind of adverse effects it will cause to your particular network. Also, you can provide the remediation configlet. Remediation configlet is a very interesting concept because suppose there is a violation in the middle of the night or when there is nobody around or an admin is not present. In that case, you can avoid the violation very quickly by directly executing the remediation configlet. So you can choose the remediation configlet. Once you're sure of it, click on save. So when this particular rule is applied on devices, it will check if the two lines are present or not, and in case the lines are present, a violation will be shown. So let me show you where you can see the remediation configlet. So here you can see that there is a violation in this particular device. So I'm going to see what the violation is. So the violation is the public community is present. So in that case, you can see the remediation template given here. You can click on the remediation template and directly click on execute. As soon as it is executed, this particular violation will be removed. Let us move on to advanced criteria. Advanced criteria is used if you have a lot of variables in your configuration file. For example, you're searching for a variable or a regular expression. In that case, you can use regular expression to search for a variable. Here's one such example where you're going to search if the enable password is given as secret or not. You can also choose the number of times the string should be present. So you can use the regular expressions which you can see on the screen. Also, in our website, you'll be able to see the regular expression commands, which can be very useful in using this criteria. So also, let me tell you that today's recording, along with the presentation, will be sent to your email ID within 24 hours. So let me show you an example for advanced criteria. So here's an example for advanced criteria where we're going to check if the password has been configured or not. So here you're specifying the condition, the regular expression pattern, the number of times it should be present. And then you're providing the violation severity and the remediation configlet. Once you're sure of what you've given, you can click on Save. Moving on to Advanced Custom Criteria. Advanced custom criteria can be used when you only want to check certain parts of a configuration file of a network device. A good example is when you want to check the interfaces of a particular router. So typically, a router will have several interfaces in it, and the speed of the router has to be set for it to work well. If the speed is not set, then it's going to be fluctuating. For this reason, you can define certain blocks in a configuration file so that when Network Configuration Manager runs a compliance check, it will check only the blocks which are defined. For example, here we have identified the block start as interface and the block end as exclamatory. So usually in a configuration file, an interface starts with interface and ends with exclamatory. So we have defined in NCM that if a block starts with interface and ends with exclamatory, then consider that block for your compliance check as one particular block. We have something called as additional block criteria, where you can say you don't have to, certain interfaces in the router has been shut down. In that scenario, you don't have to check certain interfaces which are already shut down. So in that case, you can give the additional block criteria as shutdown. And when Network Configuration Manager performs compliance check, it will ignore all the interfaces which has been shut down. So here's an example for advanced block criteria, where you're giving the configuration block start as interface and the configuration block end as exclamatory. You're also providing the additional block criteria as shutdown. And then here's where the pattern and the condition will be set along with the time. Here you can provide a description of the rule name and provide a violation severity. Also, you can associate a remediation configlet. And then click on Save. Once you save it, the new rule will be saved. So, how are we going to club all these into rule groups? To club all these, very simple. All you have to do is select the rules which you wish a rule group should contain and click on Associate. Here, you can associate this particular rule to these rule groups. So these rule groups will contain this particular rule. And here are the rule groups that are already available. And suppose you want to group these rules into policies, all you have to do is click on the particular rule group and associate it to policies. You can add this particular rule group to more than one policy depending on your requirement. And here you can see the policies. So you can create a policy and you can add rule groups to the policy. You can also give the policy violation criteria, that any rule in this policy is violated or if only a major rule has been violated. And then click on Next and associate it to devices. So we are applying the policy on certain device groups and certain individual devices. So when these policies are applied on the devices, Network Configuration Manager will continue its compliance check and it will check if some policy is violated or not. So in that case, you can be rest assured that Network Configuration Manager is taking care of your compliance and the compliance in your network's environment. Also, there are compliance reports which will give you a detailed chart about how many devices are in violation and how many devices are compliant. So let me show this to you. Here's going to compliance report. Here you can see that 12 devices are in violation and 1 device is compliant, and 44 devices have no data available. So here you can drill down and see how many rules have been violated, which policy has been violated, and when the last compliance check took place. You can also see the severity criteria, such as the violation criteria, such as severity, moderate, etc. So this is all about compliance. So if you want to stay compliant with internal and industry standards, you can use the compliance operation in Network Configuration Manager. So let us move on to role-based access control. Role-based access control is one of the most important features in Network Configuration Manager. So let me tell you what a role-based access control is. In an IT infrastructure, you will have several network admins and you will have only a set of scope defined to each of these admins. Let's say you have an operator in your network and this operator tries to make a change in a network device that is very critical for the infrastructure. In that case, the network admin will receive a notification about the change and he can choose to approve or reject this particular change. Once the approval or rejection is made, the operator will receive a notification whether the change he made is approved or not. This change made by the operator will not get uploaded until the admin approves it or rejects it. Let me tell you why this is important. This particular app control will give you a complete control on who can make what kind of changes, and this will make your network secure. In Network Configuration Manager, you have RBAC in two ways. One is with user management, in which you will give scope to the user, and this is done using user authentication where local AD and radius is used. Also, you can have approval-based role notifications in real time. So let me show this to you in the UI. Go to settings, click on user management. Here you can see different users who are present in your network environment. To add a new user, all you have to do is click on add user. Here you can provide the role as an admin or an operator. Then you can provide the username. And the password. Sorry about that. So here I'm going to assign the scope for this particular operator. So I can choose either specific devices or device groups. So I'm going to give this user all device groups, so which means he can access all the device groups. And click on save. So this particular user will be successfully added. Now I'm going to log in as an operator. So let me log in as an operator. I'm providing the username and the password. Here I'm logging in as an operator. Here I can see all the devices that have been assigned to me. Since all the devices have been assigned to me, I can make changes in all the devices. So I'm going to choose this device and make a change to it. Go into configuration details, and by editing draft, I'm going to make a change in this particular configuration. You have to provide a draft name and a notation. And here I'm going to change the test into test 1. And here I'm going to give save and upload. Here I'll get a notification that this particular draft has been saved, and when I'm trying to upload it, I will get a notification that this particular upload request has been sent to the administrator. Here, now I'm in the admin tab, and I'm going to see if I received a notification by this particular user. So I've received a notification that this particular user has tried to upload something. Here, I can see what change he has made. And here I can provide my comments as to whether I'm approving it or not, and then click on reject. I'm going to reject this. Once I reject it, this particular reject status will be sent to the operator. Now I've received a notification. Now here I'm in the admin tab, and I've received a notification which says that admin has rejected your request. So this is very helpful because you can have you can gain visibility into your network, and you can also keep a check on all unauthorized changes and users. So this will make your network more secure. Now let's move on to tools. Network Configuration Manager provides instant troubleshooting activity tools, which will help you troubleshoot instantly in case of a problem, or when there is an issue. So the tools which are available in NCM are terminal, ping, address monitoring tool, network monitoring tool, and SNMP tool. So here I can see all the tools. Terminal tools can be used if you wish to carry out configuration commands, and ping tools can be used when you want to see if a device is reachable or not. And address monitoring tool will help you resolve MAC and DNS address. And there's network monitoring tool, SNMP tools, which helps you to plot SNMP graphs and sysobject ID. So these tools are extremely useful because whatever the troubleshooting activity is, it will be done in seconds. So let's move on to schedules. In Network Configuration Manager, you can use schedule option to schedule different configuration tasks such as configuration backup, report generation, compliance check, configlet execution, startup running configuration sync, PCI review, and etc. So go to settings and click on schedule. Here you can see all the configuration tasks along with the schedule time. Now I am going to add a new schedule time. Click on add. Here you can provide the schedule name, and you can give the schedule type for which activity you want this particular schedule to run. So I am giving a schedule for configuration backup. Here you can provide if you want to receive a notification when that's a failure in backing up a device, or if you want to exclude configuration difference from notification, or if you want to get notified when there is a change in the configuration. Once all that is given, you can associate certain devices on which you want to run this particular schedule. You can also provide an email ID. So to this email ID, you will get a notification when the schedule is about to begin, or about so these notifications will be sent to the particular mail ID which is provided by you. And then you can provide a schedule time. There are hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, and once a time schedule. So you can provide a suitable schedule time and click on save. Once you click on save, this particular schedule will be added, and at the given time, the configuration activity will begin. Moving on to configuration search. Configuration search is a very useful feature because Network Configuration Manager, we have a feature where you can search for a particular string in the entire configuration file. So this is extremely useful because when there is an issue and your network administrator doesn't know what the issue is, you can quickly identify by searching for the issue. So now I'm going to show you how you can perform this operation. Here you can see the advanced configuration search. And here you can provide the string which you want to search. Now Network Configuration Manager will provide all the results which has the string public. And then there's advanced configuration search where you can search for more than one string and provide criteria also. You can give the and or criteria and contains, not contains, line start with and line ends with, so that you can keep your schedule search to a particular limit. Let's move on to exclude criteria. So let's say in your environment, network devices are going to have a timestamp in their configuration file. So for each minute, the timestamp is going to increase. So this particular change should not be considered as a change by the network manager. It is going to be stressful if network configuration manager considers this as a change and triggers a backup every time the timestamp changes. So if you want certain changes to be excluded from being considered a change, you can give the exclude criteria. I'm going to give the exclude criteria. For that, go to settings, device management, and exclude criteria. Here you can see that the clock time is given as an exclude criteria. So I'm saying that for all the device template, Cisco 300 series switch, you're going to give the clock time as the exclude criteria. So in all the devices which are associated to this particular device template, the clock time will not be considered as a change. So let's move on to alarms. Alarms are very useful because they're specifically designed to keep you notified about what is going on in your network. In Network Configuration Manager, there are alarms for different operations such as a backup failure or successful backup or a scheduled failure, etc. So here on the horizontal tab, you can see alarms. And here you can see, you can sort the alarm based on the severity such as critical, trouble, attention, and service down. So here you can see that alarms have been raised when there is an operation failure. So this retrieve password failure operation has failed for this particular device and alarms have been raised. Moving on to show commands. Show commands are extremely useful because if you want to see what the commands are for a particular device, you can use the show command option. For example, if you want to know the version number of a particular device, you can use the show version option and you can see, you can immediately check what version this particular network device belongs to. For that, click on settings. Device management and show commands. So here there are existing show commands for different vendors, and here I'm going to add a new show command. You have to provide the command alias here and the command associated to a particular vendor. Once you click on save, this particular command will be added. And from where can you see it? So go to the inventory. Here you can click on the device to take you to the device snapshot page. Click on the 3 icon here and give the show command option. So I'm going to check what the version of this particular thing is. Also, you can see the login details, the access list, show interface. So I'm going to see the version. So here you can check what the version is using the show version command. Moving on to reports. Network Configuration Manager provides reports on almost all the configuration activity which happens in your network. Not just that, it gives you an option to create your own customizable reports with your own columns and rows. So some of the important reports are startup running conflict report, configuration change report, EOL US report, much more. So to go to reports, click on reports. And here you can see the hardware inventory report, which shows you hardware details for every device which is present in your system. And there is firmware inventory report, network health status report. And here there's a startup running conflict report. Here you can see the number of devices whose startup configuration is not in sync with the running configuration. So in that case, you can see which particular device is not in sync and immediately sync it. EOL's report shows a report on the devices that are nearing the end of service, and if it ends, then there will be a vulnerability. So you can get notified about the device which have already expired or nearing their expiry date, so that you can update. And then there is compliance report, which we saw earlier. There are user report, as in how many users have access to their access levels, the number of users in your administration, etc. So here you can create custom report by giving add, by providing the report name, report description, the type of the report, device template, and also the columns which you wish this report should contain. That's all about reports. So other than that, Network Configuration Manager provides a dynamic and a user-friendly interface with customizable dashboard, dynamic device groups, user-specific retainables, filters and columns, real-time UI, etc. Let me show this to you. So the device groups are dynamic in nature. So here you can see the different groups. So these are the all device groups. So these are dynamic in nature, and suppose there is a group which contains all the startup configuration and which are not in sync, and suddenly there is a sync between the startup and running configuration, then immediately device in that particular group will be moved to the configuration which are in sync. So this is all about device groups. And then here you can add filters and columns as to what columns you wish to see. So here you can edit all the columns which appears on Network Configuration Manager, and suppose you edit the columns and log out of Network Configuration Manager and log in from a different geographical location, still all the columns which you gave will be retained. So Network Configuration Manager can be integrated with Op Manager, which is a network performance monitoring solution, and with NetFlow Analyzer, which is a bandwidth monitoring solution. So yeah, that's all. We've ended the. We are nearing the end of the session, and we have received certain questions during the training, and our device expert, Mr. Kanagaraj, will be handling the question and answer session for you. Handing over to Mr. Kanagaraj, who's our technical support manager.
Hi, my name is Kanagaraj. I am working this product more than 10 years. In today's sessions, we got a lot of questions. We have filtered top 10 questions and we are going to answer those questions in this session. The first question is it possible to schedule a complaint report in Network Configuration Manager? Yes, you can create a complaints policy and you can schedule the complaints policy from Network Configuration Manager. Once you create a complaint schedule, during the schedule time, Network Configuration Manager run a complaint check on your current running configuration device, current running configuration, and it will send you a detailed report. How many rules are violated and how many rules are in a complaint. How the config draft upload works, and can we check that draft for a complaints? Okay, for example, you have a network device, that device having a configuration version. You want to do some of the changes on the configuration, then you want to push the configuration file to the device. In this case, you can create a draft and you can upload the draft to the devices. Like if the devices support SNMP TFTP and the device support upload feature, then you can create a configuration draft and you can upload the draft to the device. Also, you can run a complaint check on the created draft. I will show you how to create a draft and how to upload the draft and how to run a complaint check on the draft. Just click on the device and just open the version, configuration version. And here you can click and here you can press edit as draft. Here you just provide the draft name and here you can do the changes. Like if you want to change the host name of the device, you can save this and you can click save and upload. Or if you click save, Network Configuration Manager save this configuration as a draft. If you click save and upload, Network Configuration Manager save this draft and it upload the draft to the device. If you go to the device, you are able to see the already created drafts. Here you are able to see the created drafts. Like if you want to run a complaint check, you just open the draft and you just click here, and here you can click complaint check. Here you can select a policy, which policy you want to run on the particular complaint with that draft, and you can click test. In this case, Network Configuration Manager run a complaint check on the created draft and it will give you the result. How many rules are violated and how many rules are in a complaint. How to increase the backup schedule running time? For example, the default timeout value is 20 minutes. If the backup process is taking more than 20 minutes, in this case, Network Configuration Manager failed to back up some of the devices. In this case, you can increase the backup timeout from schedule timeout from Network Configuration Manager. I will show you how to increase the timeout value in Network Configuration Manager. Just go to settings. Just go to client server settings. Here you can increase the backup schedule timeout. Does the communication between NCM and the device is encrypted? Yes, if you are using a such protocol to backup the devices, the communication between the device and the Network Configuration Manager server is encrypted. Is it possible to update the iOS versions using Network Configuration Manager? Yes, it is possible to update the iOS images, and also you are able to download the image file from Network Configuration using Network Configuration Manager. In Network Configuration Manager, it comes up with inbuilt TFTP server, SCP server, and syslog server. You can use TFTP or SCP commands to download the image files or update the image files using Network Configuration Manager. We have a configlets. You can use the configlets to write a command, and you can use the configlets to back up the image files or update the image files. I will show you some of the examples here. If you go to settings, all configlets, here we have some predefined configlets. Here we have a configlet names catalyst 2900 backup image. Like this way, catalyst 2900 upload image. You can use this configlet to upload the image file from NCM TFTP server to the device. Here you just mention the TFTP server IP address. As I mentioned earlier, NCM comes up with inbuilt TFTP server. So you just mention the NCM server IP address here, and you just provide the source file name and the destination file name. And here you can select the devices, which are the devices you want to upgrade the firmware, and you just click execute. Once you click execute, Network Configuration Manager communicate the device and it upgrade the firmware file. These are the major questions we got it in our today's session. Hope the session was useful to you. If you have any questions, you can directly send an email to our support email ID ncm-support@manengine.com. Also, you can refer our YouTube channel for the tech videos. Also, you can raise your comments on our forum. Thanks for joining the session. Thank you. Bye.